Hey there, Mama, and welcome back to another episode of Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm. This is episode number 190, and today I'm really excited to talk to Brittany Flammer. So Brittany Flammer has a YouTube channel. She's a financial coach, mom of 5, ages 6 to 15, and an avid budgeter, a skill I don't really have. And after years of living near the poverty line, Brittany figured out how to budget and win with money. And with an average income of $37,000 a year, her net worth is now over $800,000. So she is a certified financial coach and helps clients start their budgeting journey and stick with it. And we talk about a bunch of things, including when you have maybe dealt with financial hardships, perhaps growing up or maybe in young adulthood, and then we have the opportunity for free stuff. So maybe that is hand-me-downs. We talk extensively in the episode about hand-me-downs, holding on to things just in case, and how much we paid for it, all of those mindset blocks. And also we talk about overcompensating by giving to kids too much because we necessarily didn't have enough when we were growing up. So we have a conversation chock full of lots of helpful tips. So make sure you grab that notebook and pen, and let's dive into today's conversation with Brittany Flammer. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this. Hey, Brittany, thank you so much for coming on the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast. I'm excited to chat today.
Yes, I am thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we are going to be diving into things about budgeting and personal finance, but also like how do we say no to free stuff? Because it's free.
It's hard to
Um,
say no sometimes.
it is hard to say no. So I know a lot of my mamas struggle with that, and then they're like, "But wait, why is my house cluttered? Like, I don't understand what's happening." So before we dive in, I would love it if you could introduce yourself, tell us about you and your family, how you serve women, and maybe like one thing you like to do for fun.
Of course. So I am Brittany Flammer. I am a mom to 5. So my kids' range is from 15 down to 6. My youngest is in kindergarten. 5 more months, we will have a driver. So I'm really excited about that. It's like a whole new world, I think. I hope. I absolutely love budgeting. So I'm a certified financial coach, and I help people. What that means, if that doesn't mean anything to you, essentially, I help people learn how to budget and stick to their budget. And I find joy in that. But I absolutely love audiobooks when I can check out. They're for pure entertainment while I'm like folding laundry, cleaning up the house. And when I'm being productive, I love doing stuff outside, outdoors, the running, hiking, skiing, that kind of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I have been picking up my son every day because he broke his arm earlier in the month, and he normally takes the bus, but I'm like, I'm not putting you on the bus with a broken arm. Like, this is not happening. So I have been spending my like 15 to 30 minutes with the driving and the pickup line, listening to just pure fluff audiobooks. It's really great. So I am with you there. So yeah, I love when my guests have areas of interest and strengths that I do not have, which budgeting is, I guess it's not that it's not an area of strength, but my husband has always been like the point person for the finances. So I would love it if you could tell us a little bit about how you got into becoming a personal financial coach. I know a little bit about your story, but when it, stopped being kind of this place of necessity and then it was like, oh, I can actually like teach people and support them in this journey. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. First of all, most marriages, there's usually one spouse or partner that likes doing it more than the other. So that's totally normal. I just happen to be that person in my marriage. So you mentioned financial necessity. Our story is we got married when I was still in college. We had no money. We did Peace Corps for 2 years. So we
Mhm.
weren't making a whole lot of money. And then when we came back, we had our first child, and my husband went to grad school. We were living in LA, which is expensive. He was attending a really expensive grad school, but we wanted to do it debt-free because he's in education, and we weren't sure what kind of job he would have after. And we wanted to make sure he could take a job because he wanted it. Like, we didn't want to be dependent on the income for his job. We wanted him to be able to go where we wanted, not be forced by a job situation because we didn't have enough money. So he was working and going to school. We had a kid. I was pregnant with our second, and I was looking for jobs. There wasn't nearly as much online back then as there is now, but I couldn't find anything that just worked for us. And so in our situation, I found I could help us out more financially by staying home and by being conscientious with our money than I could by going to work. So I tried all the budgeting methods, the cash envelopes, I tried everything and just kind of found a system that worked for us to help us budget and to help us save money, but also to be able to plan for fun things. Like we did trips while we were in school, not major, but we did stuff. And, fast forward as our family grew in size and as our income grew, I've applied the same principles. We still My husband's a high school teacher, so it's not like we're raking in the dough. Our average income over 18 years of marriage has been about $37,000, and yet we'll hit the millionaire status before too long. So it's not so much about how much you make, it's more how you manage what you make. But I started sharing our budget on YouTube. But even though we did start making more money, we kept using the same principles. And then I got certified as a coach. And so I started coaching people. And I have found people have the same problems, whether their income is tiny or whether it's huge. It's the same issues people run into again and again. And whether they come to me because they want to save more or to pay for a vacation or for retirement or they're trying to get out of debt, the issue always comes down to a budget. They can reach whatever goal they want if they use a budget. So that's kind of how I got started sharing, just because I was sharing my journey, and then people came to me, so I started helping them with what I had done, what had worked for us. So that's basically what I do is I share my experiences and then I help others with their budget.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And one of the things, like I said, I appreciate budgeting. I'm just not the one that's doing it. Because we talk a lot on the show about like living in alignment with your values when it comes to what you have in your home. And someone, I'm probably, misquoting this, but saying, show me your wallet. And it's like, that's reflective of your values, or show me your schedule and that reflects your values. So I love that the budget is kind of like this external guide or like guardrails that's actually helping you move towards your goals in alignment with what is important. And like you said, you could have a lot of income or maybe not so much, but as long as it is in alignment with what's important for you, it's not like, oh, I'm going to tell you you can only spend $100, every 3 months in clothes. It's not like the number. Like people will be like, how many forks can I own as a minimalist? I'm like, no, there's no police coming and being like, you own too many forks. It's more about what is important to you. Do you find that you're working a lot with clients about like figuring out their vision and their values and then creating that budget in alignment with that?
Definitely. I totally promote value-based spending. Like you should be spending the money on the things that bring you joy, that you value. So that's what I love the budget because it's giving me permission. Like, oh, we have allotted for a vacation. So it's okay that we're taking, like, it's a good thing. That's what's important to us. Or maybe if you're having a home is important when you're budgeting for the down payment or for the mortgage. Like it's what's important to you is where you want your money to be going. And a lot of people find that when they start tracking their finances for the first time, they're shocked at where their money's going. They don't even know. And they're like, oh, it's Chick-fil-A and Target and Amazon. Like I don't, that's not like what's important to them. So it's
Mhm.
all about prioritizing your
Yeah.
spending.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I know that a lot of the women in my community, they've either had childhood experiences where there have been financial hardships or financial constraints, or perhaps they were in a ton of student debt, which is very common, obviously, in this country, especially in the United States. But they find that when, as a mom, they're given the option or the opportunity from other people, well-meaning people, to have hand-me-downs, or if they are shopping and there's like some sort of, two for one or something's on sale, then they're like, okay, well, this makes sense for me to take the free stuff, or it makes sense for me to get the two for one, even if they don't perhaps need it, because there is this fear of kind of what I would call like a scarcity mindset, just sort of like, okay, I'm not sure what the future is going to be. They could potentially use these things in the future. So they're going to go ahead and say yes. Then they become overwhelmed with the clutter and overwhelmed with the stuff. So I'm just curious, just based upon your background and then being a mom of five, where I'm sure there's lots of hand-me-downs perhaps within the family, but then also people, well-meaning people offering you stuff. How have you been able to deal with that? Whether that be, oh, this is a good deal because you're buying it in the store, or, oh, this is free, so I should take it from my Aunt Sally or my friend or whatever. Can you tell us your experience with that and also what you advise your clients, if applicable?
Yes, of course. So first of all, you have some episodes on cognitive biases that I absolutely love. Like maybe I'm nerdy, but I find that really like it's really interesting to me because there's psychology behind the sales. They're trying to get you to buy more. So it's all intentional. The hand-me-downs are probably not intentional. People are very well-meaning, and I absolutely love hand-me-downs if they're handled correctly in a good way.
Mhm.
So I totally, and I personally am naturally have a scarcity mindset. It's like a conscious effort to have a more abundant mindset. I mean, it's something that I still struggle with, but some of those triggers, or maybe not triggers, but some of the challenges that you mentioned, like the good deals. I love to buy things on sale. There are a lot of things that I only buy on sale, but I buy them and I plan for them. I don't buy them because they're on sale. So like Sam's Club or Costco, like they have their rebates. And so I buy our deodorant and our face wash. I know that they're going to be on rebate every few months. So I only buy them when they're on sale. But it's like a staple that I will be using that I plan for in my budget. It's not, I'm in the store all of a sudden, it's a great deal. I need to get this now. Because if you do that, you end up buying stuff that either you don't need or you don't want, or it's just clutter that's going to end up making your life harder because the more I don't need to tell you this, the more clutter you have, it takes you time, energy, you clean it, you organize it, you have to put it somewhere. You have to remember that you have it when you need it as opposed to going and buying. So it's just because it's a good deal. You shouldn't buy it just because it's a good deal. And I know you also have a bunch of tips on impulse spending, but I feel like when you see a good deal, a lot of that is the impulse. And so there are a lot of tips that have been mentioned on your podcast as well. But waiting, just if you just wait just 24 hours and you still need it, like most of the time people have forgotten about it. If you're online shopping and you wait in the cart, you'll go back to it and you don't want it. Or in person, you realize you don't really need it. But if you wait 24 hours and you still want it and you've got the money for it, then you can be confident that you
Yeah.
want this. It's not a splurge or an impulse. You're buying it just using some parameters. Um, but hand-me-downs, I absolutely, so I love hand-me-downs, and my oldest two are girls, and
Mhm.
they now buy their own clothes. So they love hand-me-downs now. But I do have a few tips. I have like a process I go through if I get hand-me-downs. And I don't know what it is about us, but everyone gives us hand-me-downs. We always have lived in nice neighborhoods and we're like the poor ones in the neighborhood. So everyone's like, "Oh, we'll donate it to the Flammers." So when I was first, our oldest, I was pregnant with our oldest. My older sister had, and I was having a girl, and she had girls, and she was pretty sure she was done having kids, but she had kept all of her clothes. So she gave me like 4 or 5 huge garbage bags full of clothes. And I was thrilled. I was like, oh, this is free. Like we had no money. And it's like you're going through and it's like they're so cute. And but before long, I got really overwhelmed because of that. Like there was so much stuff, and it wouldn't even fit into the dresser for our like our non-existent child had a dresser full of clothes. And so finally, I went through and I just pulled out a couple from each size, a few outfits that were complete outfits, and I boxed up the rest and gave it back to my sister. And it was so much better. I could see what I had. I wasn't overwhelmed. Everything was a full matching outfit. I didn't keep stuff that was like, oh, really cute, but only had a top or only a bottom. So that was my first real experience with hand-me-downs. And then I've learned from them. So I have a process. Are you okay if I share like the steps
Yes.
I went through? So pull out your, what is it you say? Pull out your notebook and pen. So this is what I subconsciously do anytime I get hand-me-downs. First of all, I ask the person if they want the stuff back or if I'm okay to just donate it when I'm done. Most people don't ever want to see it again, but like my sister, she wasn't positive they were done, and she ended up going and having another kid, and she used all the clothes. So asking them if they want it back or not. And then I know you talked about bins and stuff in previous episodes, but or podcasts, but I do piles or bins. And I go through, inevitably, if someone's getting rid of stuff, inevitably there's going to be some stuff that you just need to get rid of, like that has holes or stains that no one's ever going to wear. Getting rid of those, and then a pile for donations. So this would be things that either you don't like the style or it doesn't match. Like if it's an outfit and it doesn't have both parts, just get rid of it. Or if you know your kid's not going to wear it, all of that stuff would go into the donate pile. And then I also will make a pile for stuff that's like good quality, good brands, but maybe just I don't like it. I also set those aside. So what I end up with is the keep pile, and it's by far the smallest of all of the piles. But even before I put those in the drawer, I will go to the closet or the drawers or whatever. I'm talking about clothes here, but this applies to anything. But clothes, I'll go through and like my 11-year-old son hates jeans. We make him wear jeans for like family photos once a year. So he has one pair of jeans, but if there's another pair of jeans in the pile, I don't need them because I know he's not going to wear them. So I will put that in the donate or the get rid of pile. So I end up just keeping a few things. And I should add that before I go through things, I do it when my kids are not around. When they're little, it doesn't matter. But as they get older, they have opinions and they want everything. So I have to do it when they're not with me, or else they'll just want it all. So like in my if I got probably 100 items, I'd probably keep 5 or 6 things because I'm wanting to fill in the gaps. I want to make sure what I keep fits with what I already have. Because even if it's really cute or a really good brand, if you don't have anything to wear with it, you're never going to wear it, and it's just going to take up space in your closet. And then I inadvertently, we had friends that gave us a bunch of stuff they didn't want, and it was like good, nice stuff, just not the right season for my kids. It just didn't fit. But I was like, you could get money, like I'll give it back to you. And my friend was like, I don't want it, you sell it. So where we used to live, we were in Arkansas, and they had amazing consignment sales, like twice a year. And I would go and I would sell enough to pay for all the clothes I bought. So in the hand-me-downs, I ended up making money off of them, not like intentionally, but it was just, that's how it worked out. Now I'm at the phase of life where my time is not worth that, and I don't really do that. But there was a time when like $5 was huge for us. But just being so deliberate on what you bring in, because I've heard you talk about it's so much harder to get rid of than to bring it in. So minimizing what you bring in is huge. So just being extremely deliberate if something is given to you. And we have like a section of our garage that's like constant donate. Like there's always something that either we no longer need, so it's going to be donated, or someone gives to us and it's great, but not for us right now, so we pass it along. The thrift stores are wonderful, or there's so many options for donating. So you're not just getting rid of it and wasting. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything else to, that's like the process I go through. And it's like so I do like to buy consignment and thrift. I have a hard time paying full price for stuff now. But before I go and shop, I will go to the closet and I will list out, I like look for the gaps. Like come school year, everyone's like, oh, back to school shopping. But your kids don't need an entire new wardrobe. They already have a bunch of stuff. It's just, what are they missing? Write down like red shirt, size 10 or whatever, or what size shoes they need, and like what type of shoes they need. So you're just filling the holes, filling the gaps. You don't have to repurchase an entire new wardrobe.
Yeah, that was so helpful. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off. I was like, yeah, I think several of the things you said resonated, and you actually answered one of my questions, which is that I know sometimes when people get things that are like not the style of them or their kids, but there's a really good brand, maybe the tags are still on it, and they're like, oh, well, I have to keep this because it's like this super great thing. So definitely depending on your capacity and, obviously your financial situation, because like you said, sometimes it is worth the time and the energy to consign so that you can get that money from it. But otherwise, I have found that when people do hand-me-downs, it's usually, like you said, these huge trash bags. And they're like, here, take our 5 full trash bags of stuff. And you say yes, but then it ends up being overwhelming. And so what ends up happening is that people still have the trash bags like sitting in their house because it's too overwhelming to go through. So maybe just another tip maybe I would add is like, hey, friend, is it okay if I go through these bags like one at a time, like 1 week at a time or something, so that it's not so overwhelming. And then you have, like you said, that mindset of I'm just filling in gaps. It isn't like, oh, this is cute, or oh, so and so could wear this. But what are the actual gaps? And having a list of that, I think that's a super smart approach so that you're not going overboard with what you bring into your home.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to say no, you don't want the hand-me-downs. If you know that you're not going to be able to filter out, then don't even tempt yourself. I'm really good at being like, nope, don't want. No, like that's fine. That works for my personality, but that doesn't work for everyone. And there have been times when people have given me stuff and I haven't even gone through. I've just donated them because I'm like, I'm busy. It's not going to happen right now. I don't want them sitting in my garage for a year. So it's okay to say no too. Don't feel like you have to keep them
Yeah.
and wear the
Yeah.
stuff. People just want to clean out their stuff. They're not going to care if you wear theirs. Like they're not going to care. They're just cleaning it out and they're trying to help you. So if it's going
Mhm.
to help you, take it in very deliberately. If it's not going to help you, pass it along to the store where someone else can get help from it.
Yes, definitely. Well, I know we were talking about kind of that scarcity mindset and some of the cognitive biases that cause us to buy, but also there are several cognitive biases that cause us to hold on to what we don't need because of that fear of needing it someday, or, oh, I know I paid so much money for this, and if I get rid of this thing, it's wasteful. And especially if you are in the financial situation where money might be tight and you're trying to be intentional, but everyone makes mistakes sometimes with getting stuff, and you're like, oh, I thought I needed this and I don't, but I paid so much for it. So, how have you, if you've personally struggled with it, or kind of how would you recommend that others kind of deal with that when they kind of have that scarcity mindset and that's causing them to hold on to these things that they don't actually need?
Yeah, so you mentioned like, oh, I paid X number of dollars or so much for it. So what? It has
Yeah.
served its purpose. Your purpose was served, like you got those endorphins when you bought it, or whatever it is that you purchased or that someone gave to you, it's fulfilled its purpose. At this point, if you're not using it and like it and want it, It is just taking up space and clutter in your home, in your mind. I'm not a knickknack person, so my daughter's like, we could really decorate this room and it'd be so much cuter. I'm like, yeah, but then I have to dust it, and then I'm worried about kids breaking it. It's not worth it to me. Now, everyone, it's just not my jam. Other people, that's great if it's your jam and if it's bringing you joy and if you love it, then that's great. But if it's sitting in the back of your closet or in the basement or in some tote somewhere, it has served its purpose. Doesn't matter how much you paid for it. You're probably losing money by hanging on to it. In fact, I looked it up. It's episode 9. You talk about this. I 100% endorse everything you said. So get rid of it. If you're really bothered about the money, try to sell it. It's probably not worth as much as you think it is, but you can sell it if you want, or just donate it. But don't feel guilt because it served its purpose. The money is gone. You're not getting it back unless you sell it. So just cut the cord. Just get rid of it. But another one I see or hear people say is that what if I need it sometime? This is my mom. Oh my goodness, my mother. And so we've talked. I get like we always have everywhere we've lived, we've had like a donate box or pile somewhere in our house. So I get rid of a lot of stuff. We've moved a lot of times. That also helps people declutter because it's like so much effort to pack it and haul it and unpack it. So that helps declutter. So just move if you're having a hard time. But in all seriousness, people will think I might need it someday, but I have gotten rid of so many things. I was trying to think, I know there are times when I've been like, oh, didn't I have whatever it is? And there have been a handful of times I'm like, oh yeah, I think I used to have that, but I can't find it, so I probably got rid of it. I could only think of 2 things I've ever gotten rid of in my life that I regretted and wished I had. One of them, I will share. One of them, when we first got married, we got a salad spinner. And I didn't even know what that was. I had to look up what it was because I didn't know anything about cooking when I was 20 when we got married. I didn't know anything, but it was a good brand. It was like the OXO, however you pronounce it. And it was really nice, really big. And I knew that I should use it. So it sat there. And after our first year of marriage, we moved apartments and I had never used it. So I donated it. And like 8 or 9 years later, we now have a big family. And I was like, I would like a salad spinner. And I can picture it in my head, like exactly where it was in our apartment. And I was like, oh yeah, I got rid of one when we were first married. And it had been like 10 years. So I went and bought one. I'm like, yeah, I could have hung on to it and I would have eventually used it. Chances are by then it probably would have been broken in one of our moves. But so there have been like I could probably count on one hand the number of times I have regretted getting rid of something, and it's something that I can go buy again. So it's not like it's a big deal. But one thing I do think is a little bit harder, at least in my opinion, is the sentimental stuff that has meaning. Even, in fact, just my mother-in-law the other day, we were at her house, she brought out like a coat she had made in 4-H. She's like, I don't wear this anymore. She's like, as soon as I die, you guys will get rid of it. But she's like, it means so much to me. And I think it's okay to hang on to some stuff because of sentiment, but it's the memories that matter. So snap a photo of it or document it somewhere where you'll look at it because most of that stuff that's sentimental, we never actually look at, we never use, it's just shoved somewhere and we don't feel like we can get rid of it. So I'm a big fan of digital. Take a photo, put it somewhere where you can appreciate it. If you Usually with sentimental stuff, selling it doesn't help. Giving it to someone else that will appreciate it is usually easier than just donating it to a random store or trying to sell it. But you can't take anything with us when we're gone. It's the memories that are important. And you've got the memories. So if you've documented them, you can go back and relive those memories without the physical object right there. But I'm also not super sentimental, so that makes it easier for me. And I know it's real, like my husband is more sentimental. So and I know you've talked about shoebox that you give your kids. Like we all have a box, and my husband has like it's not a shoebox, it's bigger than that. It's like the hanging portable file things. So it's like a banker's box type thing. And like all of his sentimental stuff goes in there. And I have one and he's got one. And beyond that, it's like we can do without.
Yeah.
Or you document it. And how often does he look at that box? I look at it more than him because I'm moving it whenever we move. And there are times like when I'm like, oh, let's do a shadow box and we can put all of that stuff
Mhm.
in one case. So I only have to dust one thing. And we still can appreciate it because it is like those things do evoke awesome memories. And I get not wanting to get rid of them, but actually put them out where you'll use them and enjoy them
Mhm.
or keep it to a small size.
Yeah. Oh, such great tips. Always good reminders too. And I think that, just remembering, even if you kind of have this, scarcity mindset, just kind of remembering these things that like it's not worth the time and the energy to maintain it. It's not worth your sanity. And I think just my last question has to do with something that I also hear a lot from moms that maybe had financial hardships as a child or they didn't have a lot and now they're in a different financial situation, or maybe they're very well-meaning parents or in-laws now are being super, super generous, but they kind of feel like they need to overcompensate and give their kids like so much because they can, but then it ends up not really helping the situation because then again, they're overwhelmed by all the clutter and everything. So, have you found that to be true either in your own life or with, people that you know or are working with? And like, how can we stop that propensity to be like, okay, I need to go overboard because it's so easy to go overboard, like with getting our kids
Yes.
stuff. So, do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, so I feel like in some ways this is almost more of a parenting question
Hmm.
than, I mean, but it all ties in. But that's like the struggle of parenting, right? What's best for your kid, and knowing that and doing that is really hard. But I feel like it's human nature to want the best for your kids
Yeah.
and to want them to have, especially if you grew up in like humble circumstances, to want better for them than what you had. So I think by nature, we want to give them everything. But I was thinking, I actually did a Google search on like celebrities, like rags to riches type thing, because I couldn't think of anyone off the top of my head. Oprah Winfrey and who else? Steve Jobs. There were a bunch of them. Oprah Winfrey and Steve Jobs are the ones that come to mind that were kind of that rags to riches story. And I look at them and it's like they became successful. Not despite their humble beginnings, but probably because of them. That's part of what made them who they are. And I look at us, so I feel like we had pretty humble beginnings when our kids were little. My oldest few kids, like they didn't ask for stuff because the answer was always no, as opposed to my youngest now that every time we go to the store, he's like, "Can I have that? Can I have it?" Like, and it's just because sometimes he gets things and our older kids never got stuff. But my older kids are so much more aware of financial stuff. Like when they're out with friends and a parent stops and gets them something, they recognize that, like, oh, they
Yeah.
spent money on me. And I don't want to guilt them. I don't feel like they're being guilted. They're just aware of it. But as parents, like our purpose is to raise independent, capable people that can become adults. Like they're going to have to manage their money someday. And if they see you got them everything, they're going to think that they should have everything and their
Mhm.
kids need everything. There's the saying, the phrase, you've probably heard it. Spoil your children, you raise your
Mm.
grandchildren. If you raise your children, you spoil your grandchildren. So there's not like a right or wrong. It's just being aware that they don't need everything. They are going to learn by example far more than what you teach them. Like my parents never sat down and taught me how to budget, but I saw them doing it. So I learned like, okay, we don't buy anything until we have the money for it. Um, and the kids are going to learn your habits, whether you want them to, whether they're good or bad, they're going to catch on to that. But I also think so you don't have to spend a ton of money to give your kids great experiences. We went spring break 2 years ago, year and a half ago. We went to San Diego and we had it planned out. The kids really wanted to go to Legoland. So we spent
Mhm.
a day at Legoland and it was fun. The kids had a great time. I can't remember. I want to say it was maybe $800 for the day. The next day we went to the beach. We spent $10 for parking. And that's all we spent the entire day. And when we look back at that, the kids don't remember much about Legoland. It's the beach they remember. Like, when do we get to go to the beach again? And I'm like, okay, I'm like, they had a good experience. It's not bad to spend money on
Yeah.
vacation, right? but it's the memories, and you don't have to spend money, a lot of money, to create those memories. And even like with gift giving, like the holidays weren't that long ago. We, especially as our kids have gotten older, when they were little, it was like we would buy thrift and consignment. They don't know, they don't care. And we tried to keep it minimal, but now we really try to do experiences a lot more than because I don't want the stuff. And it's those experiences that create the memories that you're going to remember. Do you remember, like, I don't remember a single Christmas, like the toys I got or what exactly I got. It's more the feelings and the things we did, right? That's what you remember. So it doesn't have to be all about spending money. They don't need everything. If you can't give them everything, that's okay. It's probably good for them. And if you can, just be deliberate. It's like what you bring into your home. Be deliberate about what you bring in. Be deliberate about what you spend your money on. Make sure it's the things that you want to be spending it on, that's going to fill you, that you're going to create the memories, not just stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, that is so helpful. And this has just been packed with good, amazing, helpful tips that especially, like I said, sometimes I don't always think about because I just have different strengths and skills. So I just really appreciate you coming on the show today and would love it if you could tell us the best way that everyone can connect with you if they want to learn more.
Sure. So I have a YouTube channel. It's at Brittany Flammer. And on my website, I have a free webinar. It's like the biggest budgeting mistakes and how to fix them. You can find that on my website or just my YouTube channel. Lots and lots of free content about budgeting and that kind of stuff on there.
Awesome. Well, I will link to all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much, Brittany, for coming on the show. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact. But 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.